All right, so welcome. In advance for
David, I missed you.
what do you say?
Sorry, I missed you somewhere, and you were talking about what we were going to do today. My
Yes, I
network
remember
just
requesting
got
for you everyone to get their clients. Number one. So if you've gotten your clients, good for you. If you haven't, please get your clients. Number two, if you've gotten your clients and you've given your clients your questionnaire, you've gotten all the questions you want, you've answered them already. Then on Friday, before Friday, you should have your client's logo, right, already. So you're going to design a client that's suitable for, you're going to design a logo that's suitable for your clients. And then from Friday, we're going to start to discuss all the other visual identity elements that will form the full visual brand, all right? And then we'll start to make all the rest, business cards, letterhead, social media, all of those, okay? And also, I'm going to work on, well, no, that's for later, right? So throughout next, we're going to be doing all the different visual elements that would accompany the actual brand. Okay, so please ensure that you get this done. All right. So I'm just going to go into what I was supposed to teach today, which is visual styles, visual design styles, different visual design styles. All right. And like I said earlier, the point of learning these things is so that when you, it's like when they teach you history of art or history of design or history of whatever they're teaching you, they're not teaching you just because, oh my God, there's nothing else to teach, let's teach them the history of this. And they're teaching you because somewhere along the line, you're going to make reference to, you need to make reference to all some of those different styles and how they work, all right? All right, so I'm just going to continue. I'm going to share my screen now and share the slide for today. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, so yes, sir. All right, so design styles, right? When you hear design styles, many things will come to your mind. So I'm going to break them down into two. All right, so this is design movement styles. Movements, what is a movement? A movement is like a period of time where a particular style of design was reigning. So like in music, for example, there was classical music, there was jazz, there's Afrobeats, there's all of those things. They reigned at different times, but at the times where they were reigning, they were reigning. So right now, I think in Nigeria is Afro pop, or I think that's the name for the Wizkid and Davido kind of music. All right, so they're all different styles of music, but they reign at different times, but you can characterize them by different characteristics. Okay, so I'm going to break down. So, for example, if I want to go to a beat maker, I'll say, I want you to give me an Afrobeat jam, right? He knows what I'm saying. But if I don't know what an Afrobeat jam is, how do I explain what Afrobeat is? Okay, so that's kind of like what it is with design movements, all right? So I'm going to start from Art Nouveau, right? And it's not in the order of coming, like in order of their appearance or occurrences. All right, so now as you see the visual styles, different things will start to appear and like make sense to you in your mind. So the key characteristics of this style is that they're bold outlines, they are flat, and a lot of them have intricately illustrated design styles, hand illustrated design styles, also with like hand designed typefaces. All right, it's usually very whimsical, like magical, not very, 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 very like straightforward, like the type of things that we'll have for like startups and all those kind of, different styles. So some of the characteristics are they have intricate illustrative styles, they're bold, heavy, and weighted outlines. Many times they are hand-drawn, they use natural forms a lot. They also use a natural color and tonal palettes, right? And they usually many times feature female personas. Okay, so you can tell by the kind of colors that they use, you can tell by the kind of style of illustrations, by the kind of fonts that they use. You can see that there's nothing similar to a regular sans font here. Most of these fonts are like obviously handwritten fonts. Okay, so this is what was characteristic and popular in this style. Now, another reason why this is helpful is when you want to find a particular Another reason why this is important is when you want to find elements on Canva. For example, when you go to your Canva.
Hello, Pastor David.
Yeah. I can hear you.
Your screen just went off.
Oh, yeah.
Your screen just went off. I see your face again.
Yeah, I removed it. I'm trying to explain something. Okay, so I'm trying to explain that the reason why I want you to learn these terms is that when you go on your elements folder on Canva, there are many things you can find. If you don't know what you're trying to find, you will not know how to find it. Okay, so as we go on in the styles and you start to understand what they look like, when you want a style that looks like a particular, when you want an element that has a particular style, you know what to search for on Canva. Okay, so that's the reason why ensuring and making sure that you understand this. All right, next is Victorian style. Now the Victorians are, I mean, you can see there's some similarity but different. Similarity in terms of the colors are both pale, right? But you can tell the difference in the types of fonts that they use, at least, right? These fonts are very hand-drawn and colorish, right? But these ones seem to have more more straight edges, more form, more calculation. Do you get? But the Victorians loved complex and ornate objects. Is someone asking the question? All right, so and this influence filtered through all areas of design, including architecture, furniture, interior, fashion, typography, and commercial arts, right? And I mean, if you go online and you search Victorian style furniture, right, it's very heavily ornamented. Okay, so you see a lot of decorative. Now, one of the if you see what's happening here, right? If you go on Canva and you search Victorian frame, right? Or if you just even go online, you search Victorian frame. Obviously, what you're going to find is a very heavily ornamented type of frame, right? Or if you type Victorian swash or Victorian, any type of element, right? You would have elements that are obviously very heavily ornamented, right? Elaborate typography, a lot of symmetry, highly ornate and busy imagery, very few straight lines and edges, okay? So those are characteristics of the Victorian style. I need you to memorize and master these different styles, all right? Arts and crafts. Now, art and crafts stood for, and all these different movements had their time periods, but I think that's too much to actually have to put here because it's just much more information that might be necessary at this point, all right? So, but they stood for traditional craftsmanship using simple forms, and they often featured like medieval, romantic, or folk styles of decoration with heavy use of textures and illustrated initials, right? So they reuse traditional older style features, simple forms, illustrated typography, and lots of textures, okay? So many of their elements had a lot of elements of traditional craftsmanship actually, and even in the forms that they used. If you many of the arts and crafts style elements obviously have a lot. For example, when you think about carpentry, right? Carpentry is one of those elements, one of those art forms that you obviously have to do like a lot of craftsmanship with, right? So you can see, if you look at the form, you can tell that, I mean, this is not very like the kind of things that we have in our modern day. Yes. Whose mic is that? Yes. Oh, this one. John, can you mute your mic? Okay. All right. So basically, this is what the style of arts and crafts visually looks like. Okay. Art Deco, right? You can obviously see a very sharp contrast between what we saw and what we're seeing now. So the characteristics of this movement is synonymous with the graphic design style that are bold curves, strong vertical lines, capitalized type, rich contrasting colors, aerodynamic forms, airbrushing, motion lines, and geometric treatment of patterns and surfaces, right? So like you can see the colors already, very bright contrasted with very, very dark colors. Okay. This is synonymous with Art Deco. And you see a lot of all caps, right? That's another style. So for example, if you're trying to design a banner and you want your banner to be Art Deco inspired, okay, you are going to design something that has a lot of obviously heavily contrasting colors, maybe like yellow and purple, or like white and black, obviously, because this movement doesn't deal a lot in white and black, so you won't be seeing white and black, even though that's a good contrasting color. You would use heavily contrasting color, maybe yellow and black, or you get orange and deep blue, right? Other different types of contrasting colors, okay? So bold geometric shapes, use of vertical and motion lines, capitalized typefaces, high contrast in colors, and they are usually flat in terms of depth, okay? So that's what the Art Deco style looks like, all right? American kitsch, right? This graphic style is synonymous with informal shapes, rich, high contrasting color use, hand-drawn and color illustrations, space-age forms, and dramatic curves. So you can see like the obvious play on form, right? The juxtaposition of like different scale of elements, right? Remember when I explained scale in terms of when I was explaining design terms, the scale of this woman compared to the scale of this place. So obviously it has a lot to do with altering scale in terms of, at least for this banner as an example, right? And you can see like the juxtaposition of both flat and 3D elements. For example, this image, right? This image of these two people, right? These two people here obviously look like a proper 3D element, but you can see that it feels like the shadow is shadowed on a flat surface, okay? And then there's like the flat red thing just going through as if it's like actual red on paper. Do you understand? So those are some of the elements. It's usually many times grotesque, right? Contrasting imagery and fonts, cartoon-like illustrative images, obviously, very bold and very vibrant colors. You can see a lot of yellows, reds, right? People in dramatic poses and aerodynamic shapes, all right? So this is what the American kitsch looks like, okay? Futurism. Now, futurism is a movement that was particularly despised, not just certain aspects of classical antiquity, but everything that was not totally new. It's like an antithesis of arts and crafts. So obviously, this form was a departure from arts and crafts. So you can still see elements of arts and crafts in this, right? For example, you can see like the black and white, you can see the monotone, right? Very similar with futurism, except of course in futurism, the shapes are very different and the style is eclectic. So you can see there's a lot of technological vibe to this. You can see like forms that are inspired by technical objects, right? Offset texts, cubist influences, no traditional features. So here you can't see anything that's like traditional, unlike arts and crafts, okay? So, and you can see that the text style that they use here were not really exactly like, you can see the kernings many times are not like regular, right? And it's just characteristics of the style, okay? So, yeah, this is what futurism looks like. Obviously, you can see a lot of basic straight line shapes, all right? Curves as well. Unlike these kind of forms that look more natural, okay? In futurism, the shapes are more geometric, all right? Swiss stroke international style. Now, in particular, the use of grids and asymmetrical layouts alongside sans serif typography were the most prominent stylistic developments in this Swiss movement. So you can see the very simple geometric shapes, consistent use of negative space. Negative space is all this space here, all these backgrounds, basically. Negative space is like your background, right? Saturated matte color palettes. You can see the colors. The contrast is not as sharp as what we have here or here. Okay, they look more pale, more dull, more calm. Although you can see the colors, they have colors, but they are not as heavily contrasted as some of the previous movements, right? So very clean and simple, sans serif fonts are favored, and asymmetrical layouts. All right, you can see that these layouts are not symmetrical. Remember that time when I was describing what balance feels like, right? The layout I used wasn't symmetrical, but you can tell that it's properly balanced. Okay, so this is what like a Swiss international style looks like. All right, I need you to pay attention at this point because obviously you're going to get assignments. There are many styles in this form, so everyone, you're obviously going to design different designs. You're going to come up with different designs based on different styles. All right, so I'm going to give you a brief for one particular design, and you're going to design that exact design in different styles. Okay, so I need to pay attention and learn as much as you can. All right, because obviously you're going to do assignments. All right, so come again.
Sorry, I was trying to look for my raise hand button here on my laptop. I can't find it.
You're trying to look for your
raise hand, like raising my hand button. That raise hand button.
Okay, no problem. Ask your question.
Yes. The first two pictures that was made on that's graphic design. That can be done on Canva.
Which one?
The first two. The one Victorian, attack of, this one.
Yeah.
This is graphic design.
Yeah.
Oh wow. This one, the next one. You can do this on Canva.
Yeah, you can. Okay. Yeah, you can. So what you need to use, for example, for this text, right? For example, like look at this, right? You're definitely going to use effects on your text. Okay, so I'll give you an idea of how those work maybe before the end of this class. All right.
Okay.
All right, so postmodernism, right? Postmodern style is the name of this style. So it's mixed up with like obviously a lot of tilted axis, right? Collage-like illustrations, overlined figures, impulsive decoration. It has been used in varying degrees since the first time it was used, and if you use it nicely, you can have a very, very unique expression. You can see that it obviously looks like a collage, collaging different types of elements. Now, as you're looking at these designs and you're trying to marry it with like principles of design and elements of design, there might be some clashes in your mind. And obviously, you're going to now think back to what I explained earlier when I said that many times the principles of design are to guide you, especially at an early stage, right? But they can still be broken, right? And the principles are not rules, they are just principles, okay? Doesn't mean that it cannot be achieved any other way, all right? So characteristics of these designs are like overlapping like different types of text, different types of formats, different types of elements, right? Impulsive and playful. A lot of the axes are tilted. You hardly see anything that's straight. And then obviously the illustrations look like collages. All right. So you can also see the kind of colors. This has a pop vibe, but it's a postmodernist style of design. All right. All right. So this is psychedelic, right? In this psychedelic style, we see the use of bright and clashing colors. Now, with this design, obviously, you can see like what do we call this thing? Almost like an illusion, actually. But here, in terms of the color usage, you see that the color doesn't have like a heavy contrast compared to many of the previous styles that we've referred to. And you can see that the hand-drawn curvature typefaces are not very clear, right? Very, very abstracted curvilinear shapes. They look very metaphysical and surreal. And like many of the images have like illustrative or photographic treatments to them, all right? And obviously it was inspired by psychedelic drug culture. It's very, very intense, clashing colors. The type and image is obviously influenced by Art Nouveau. Hand-drawn type, basically, most times, very legible and hard to read. And the abstracted curvaceous forms and design elements, all right? So for this kind of style, right, you can see that the different movements many times have like different, whose mic is that? Different vibes, all right? So you want to pay attention to what is characteristic of the different styles. All right. Obviously, this looks scary, and they're just trying to portray what is inspired by. All right. Punk, right? You've probably heard the word punk before, right? But this form's rawness is derived from the culture which originated from the 1970s punk music movement. Okay, and the iconic elements of the punk design style are like the do-it-yourself, handwritten, or cut and paste typographic elements, kind of similar to postmodern style, right? But except this time, you can see that the colors are not usually as many. Okay, you can see a lot of monochromatic type designs. For example, here you see white and pink with black text, white and black, almost sepia type with red text, right? So it's a different style. Also, here you can see like the different types of fonts. Most times they use a lot of sans fonts, right? Except in some rare cases. But here, the fonts are actually very, very handwritten and altered. Altered in the sense that they're not like proper, typically, for example, in postmodern style, you know that this is a proper D, this is a proper E, this is a proper G, E, I, right? That if you bring it out, it will look normal. But here, these texts are actually altered, right? Obviously, this is very difficult to achieve with Canva. Obviously, you're going to have to make the text yourself if you want to do this on Canva. All right, so it's not impossible, it's just not the mainstream thing to do. And that's why I keep saying, if you want your designs to look non-Canva, like you need to have a design sense. Okay, is everyone following me at this point? Is anyone lost? Is everyone following?
Yes, we're following, sir.
All right, good. So characteristics of these things, you see low quality photocopier printed style images, grainy and matte screen printing effects, found and collage type, predominantly photographic imagery for most of their designs, very high contrast and bold colors, textured design as well. All right. Grunge. Now, if you Google grunge, you see a lot of things as well, right? The grunge style usually has a lot of uneven lines, crooked elements, dirty stains, badly handwritten text, very, very grainy, almost and torn photographs as well. And they play part of expressing or portraying this the tone of grunge style. All right, you see dirty textures, irregular lines, crooked elements, dirty stains, torn images, handwritten, hand-drawn elements, different. It's kind of like a mix of punk and postmodern style. All right, if you see the juxtaposition of different types of elements, okay, and with the stains are a very huge part of this style, which is not something that we've seen a lot in many of the previous styles. All right. So yeah, this is what the grunge style looks like. Okay, minimalist and flat. Aha, so this is a popular style in our day, right? The ongoing popularity of minimal and flat design is very palpable. It is utilized in every sphere design is found, from branding to packaging to editorial to infographics and digital. In many of these designs, you don't see a lot of depth of field, right? There's obviously like minimalist design space, neutral tones, secondary colors, a lot of negative space, and that is usually very plain or white. Okay, you see a lot of linear elements, a lot of lines, straight lines to be precise, not like curved lines, very straight lines, very, very light colors, very, very pale colors, a lot of play with shades of gray, and a heavy use of negative space. Okay, so these are characteristics of the minimalist and flat style. All right. Three-dimensional style. Now, the simple inclusion of like a drop shadow, some elements and design tweaks can move a completely fanciful product design from a flat lifeless image to a more believable lifelike object, right? So there's illusion of lifelike depth and volume with shadow, depth of field, gradients, employing different lighting effects, shadow and depth, indicating, to utilize. Sometimes it might be one color, but you can see that with the one color, they'll be able to create, obviously, like this is one color, right? But they've created really, really nice shadow elements, outlines, gradients, and stuff like that. Okay, so that's how you make like 3D elements, okay? Now, what I explained to you was just like design movement styles, right? Like design movements and their styles, all right? But now I'm going to explain different design styles. And design styles is just like how people design, okay? So even in these design styles, you can do a mix of the different movements, okay? But it's just a little different. And as I explained it, you have a hang of it, all right? Abstract, right? Now, when you design abstract, you can design abstract in literally every movement, you can have an abstract type of design, all right? So as you can see, right, there's like, this is obviously flat, right? This obviously has some futurism vibe. This obviously has a lot of grunge vibe as well, right? But it's still abstract, irrespective of the movement. Okay, so abstract is a style of creating a piece of art that is independent from the way it looks in the real world, right? An abstract design is achieved by combining different elements, composition of colors, shapes, usually based on the individual interpretation of the designer or the client or both of you. Okay, and many times the abstract style of design is ambiguous, it's like an ambiguous representation of an object or a concept. Okay, and it invites like individual interpretation. Somebody can come and say, this design says this to me. Another person can say, no, it says that to me. I mean, that's what it is. All right. So some of the keywords are colorful, artistic, logo design, illustration. All right. And many of these, I'm letting you understand these things so that when you are trying to find elements that have abstract feel, you will know how to find them on Canva. Okay. Conceptual arts. Conceptual art is like a subcategory of illustration, okay, and it's like a metaphorical description of a visual idea. Many times, if you know, like what's this guy's name, Salvador Dali, you know, a lot of his designs were very, very conceptualish, although like they didn't have like 3D type of designs that we do now. But you would see that it's like a fiction section of illustration coming up with things that don't even exist, and it doesn't necessarily feature the likeness of a real object in a sense, right? So sometimes it can, but conceptual is just like altering reality many times, right? Because like it's something that you're trying to conceive. I mean, if it was real, it would be different, right? But because it's conceptual, it means you're trying to conceive it. So it's usually very different from what is usually mainstream and what we would naturally think of. Okay, so they may contain like elements of reality and they feature the designer's adaptation of objects that they model it after. All right, so illustrations, drawing, and abstracts. All right. Feminine styles of design, right? And it's like the opposite of masculine, obviously. It has a lot of details that are stereotypically attract female attention, like soft color palettes, florals, cursive writing, you know. That's why things like hairdresses, you see hairdressing salons, you see all these type of styles. Like floral shops, many times there are more women that are into floral design, so they usually want this type of feminine styles. And obviously, because more females receive flowers, right? So you want your design to be attractive to females, so you design your style like that. So many times you employ like cursive or fluid fonts. You also incorporate a lot of pastel colors or shades of red. You also like may feature a woman's face, flowers, fashion components, or female elements, okay? Like maybe it might not even be face, it might be lips, it might be a curve of a lady, you know, those type of things. So think of flower, cosmetic, pastel, fashion, love, beauty. These are the keywords that are characteristic of a feminine style of design. All right. Fun and playful design, right? And like I said, these styles can cut across the different movements. Okay. So it's a design style that inspires fun and usually gives off like an informal vibe rather than like a rigid impression. Many times you use it to create cartoons. It can be non-realistic or semi-realistic style of drawing, but it's obviously giving off a vibe of something that is not rigid, or something that is like fun and cool and, you know, just interesting. And many times it may feature a lot of caricatured shapes or style, very colorful. It may contain a lot of fantasy related type of things, the whimsical stuff as well. So you see a lot of humor, mascot design, keywords: humor, mascot design, character design, kids, caricature, cartoon, animal, right? Because these are things that are characteristics of fun and playful things. All right. So geometric, obviously, when you hear geometric, is derived from the idea of geometry and heavy use of straight lines and shapes. Typical geometrical design can comprise of rectangles, squares, and triangles, maybe hexagons, you know, those type of things. A lot of straight lines, a lot of symmetry. Keywords that characterize this design are like minimal, text, simple, internet, flat. These are the kind of words that you want to use if you're trying to find elements that have this vibe. Okay. Grunge. Now, very similar to, so grunge is not just a movement, it's also like a style of element usage or like design usage as well, right? So obviously this grunge is inspired by the movement, right? But it's also like, it has also become a style of designing as well, right? It has a lot of vintage, grunge effects, gritty, cool styles of the 90s, obviously what is inspired by, right? And it's typically characterized by distressed, rough, torn appearances, very uneven in its patterns, generally use a lot of dark colors, and obviously many times associated with punk and gothic styles as well, right? Monochromatic, a lot of monochromatic colors, a lot of darkness, and just this danger feeling. Okay, so some of the keywords are cool, street, gothic, black, graffiti, t-shirt design. Many t-shirt designs usually have like these grunge style effects. Okay, illustrated. So remember I said earlier that a conceptual style is like a subcategory of an illustrated style. It's derived from the interpretation of like explaining a text or the concept or a process. So illustration is basically just trying to interpret something, illustrating something. So something that exists, you want to make an illustration of it. It usually generally has a lot of rawness to it, hand-drawn, looks dependent on like designers' drawing style. So there's no fixed illustration style. Different illustrators have different styles of illustrating. Okay, so you want to find things that are related to illustration. You think of t-shirt design, you think of sketch, you think of drawing, you think of tattoo art, you find a lot of illustrations, illustrated design styles. Okay, luxurious, and obviously you can imagine what luxurious feels like. So evokes the idea of indulging extra comforts or pleasures or like additional to the necessary standard of well-being. Obviously for people who have a lot of money, you see a lot of rich colors like gold, gray, sometimes very rarely like dark purple and dark green, right? You see a lot of colors like gold and bronze and black. So to achieve this, it basically like has a way of, you many times actually have to use like simple minimalist designs, and you also use like old style type of fonts and modern type of fonts as well, kind of like a mix of both. Okay, so keywords for luxurious are elegant, sophisticated, fashion, you know, those type of words. Masculine, obviously the opposite of feminine, and it typically appeals to men. The details in masculine designs include like simple lines, monochromatic theme, black and white, and rugged texture. All right, so you see a lot of hard-edged, thick stroke fonts. You may incorporate a lot of rugged and gritty images. Many times you use like darker, bluish, cool colors as opposed to warm colors. All right, so some words that some words that will appeal, that relate to this are like 3D, grunge, illustrated, luxurious, professional, corporate, vintage, retro, right? So there's the organic and natural style as well. So organic style is like a design style that takes flowing natural forms of reality, and you know, it's characterized by a lot of continuous lines and dynamic curves. They can also feel rustic. You can add like different textures to make it have that natural feel. Okay, imagine like having a natural feel of paper, or natural feel, not paper, sorry, natural feel of like very, very earthy elements like land, like soil, like leaves, like those type of things. So you generally incorporate like natural elements like leaves, flowers, you know, fresh produce, and you might also combine it with the look of illustrated look to give it like this raw organic look. All right, so keywords that are characteristics of this are like nature, rustic, handmade, illustration. Okay, photorealism is like a form of illustration where the designer tries to closely match to the original image as much as possible, right? So this is like an opposite of like the illustrated or conceptual or abstract style. All right, whatever representation that is being made in whatever format of drawing or painting it is almost like an exact replica of what it looks like. So you're not going to be confused about what this is. It's a bird, it's a goat, it's an animal. You're not unsure. So that's what like photorealism is about. Okay, so it features a lot of refined details to emulate the original image as possible, and usually achieved by, but not limited to, obviously, pencil sketches, even paintings as well. Right, so keywords are drawing, illustration, sketch, tattoo, and art. All right, professional or corporate style, right? It's usually characterized by muted colors, minimalist detail, right? Conservative in, you know, you won't see a lot of fanciful stuff, just really simple elements, simple designs. He employs a lot of straight classic fonts, generally incorporates a lot of simple shapes as well, and he may invoke like formal impressions with negative space and line art as well. So for keywords that you want to register this with would be like business, formal, minimalist, or minimal, classic, simple, those type of things. You want to ask a question? No. All right. So typographic, obviously typographic uses a lot of modification of fonts. So you're going to use a lot of fonts and you also modify the fonts. It's kind of designed as written using words to express or to evoke emotions, right? For logo, obviously the fonts you need to like change a lot of things about the fonts. You edit, modify it a lot. Okay, so font style is generally the focus of the design, right? Typographic design may incorporate objects, but the text usually conveys the main objects. All right, so keywords for this will be fonts, illustration, artistic. All right, you see a lot of text obviously because it's typographic. Yeah. Vintage or retro. Okay, so retro is short of for retrospective, obviously, is derivative of trends that are from the past. So sometimes even like postmodern type of things can be retro because they are not modern. All right, so you may incorporate a lot of rustic, nostalgic elements to evoke like images from the past. Obviously here, you can see like the sepia type of color with the monochromatic color scheme, same kind of color scheme here as well. You see a lot of olden day style. You can see like art and crafts vibes in this design as well, right? So you may also illustrate like ornate ribbons and wreaths reminiscent of the 19th century. You may also incorporate like visual clues like old letterpress, hand-drawn typefaces, elaborate decorative arts. Some of the keywords for this would be rustic, t-shirt design, drawing, illustration, logo design, because many logo designs actually still like use a lot of retro and vintage inspired type things. All right, so that is the end of this slide. All right. Any questions at this point? No questions. All right. So
are we going to be having those slides, please?
Yeah, I'll share the slides on the group.
Okay, thank you.
Or I'll just send you a link to where you can, yeah, I'll share a link with you where you can view from. You get the slide. Okay. All right, so no questions, right? So basically, I'm going to share a brief with you. So let me show you in practice what I'm actually talking about, right? Assume that I'm trying to design something new. Okay, I'm going to share my screen now. So putting this to practice, like what's the point of teaching you all of that, right? If you come to elements and you're trying to find an element and you type maybe punk, right? You see a lot of punk elements, okay? But if you're looking for this type of thing and you do not know what it's called, you will not know what you're looking for. Do you understand? So that's basically the concept of explaining all the different movements to you, okay? If I try Victorian, you can see already you're seeing like Victorian style ornaments, you know, those type of things. That's what's showing. Do you understand? So this is going to help you when you're trying to find the different elements to support your design. Okay. All right. If I do Swiss, for example, obviously this is going to do a lot of Switzerland, but you can still see like some normal like Swiss style of design. Okay. So this is why you need to learn like the different styles. If I do grunge, for example, okay, you see a lot of grunge like textures. All right, see a lot of grunge patterns and stuff like that. Okay, is it clear how this works?
Yes,
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Okay. So yeah, so I'm practically done. Do you have any questions at this point?
think I'll just go over your slides again.
Yeah, I'll share a link. So let me show you how to share a link. I don't think I've shown you before. If you want to share, right? So for example, if you come to present, right, you can just copy a link and you view the presentation. Okay, so I'm going to share the link on the group and everyone can view the presentation from here. Okay. So this is something else that you can do actually, and this is how some people actually do websites this way. So you can design, I'll show you how to do that. So you can design different sheets, different pages, and then you share a link, and then you can create like a bit link to your link, and whoever clicks on that link goes to see what you've done, right? So it's that simple, all right? Yeah, so I think we're done. If nobody has any questions, what's the assignment? Let me take questions before anyone, before I go over the assignments. No question.
Sorry,
All right.
just to clarify, so like those things that you taught us today, we're like supposed to learn them because they're like things that will help us in like search for the things that we have in mind to do, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other question? Okay, so your assignments, I'm going to share a brief on the WhatsApp group, right? But the assignment is to design the same poster design. Now, how are you going to design the poster design? Let me share my screen. Oh, you can even see my desktop. Okay, I'm going to share, right? So come to home, right? What do you want to design? A poster. A what? A poster. Obviously, there's a poster size already, so just click on it. Okay, now when you come to poster, just create a blank page. All right. I'm going to send you the details of the events, the details of the design, right? And you're going to design with the different styles that I've taught you. All right. So you're going to pick 5 different styles from any 5 of the different design movements, not the design styles, the movements. Do you understand the difference? Please tell me if you don't understand now.
What's the difference?
Okay, so let me explain. Design movement styles, right? The movement styles are like historical movement styles, Art Nouveau, Victorian style, art and crafts, Art Deco, American kitsch, futurism, Swiss stroke international, postmodern, psychedelic, punk, grunge, minimalists. 3D is not really a movement, but I just added it because it's one of the styles, right? Now, design styles are different from the movements. Okay, the movements are more historical. Just to give you an idea of the history behind the names, many of the names that we have now. All right. So design styles here are just like abstract, conceptual, feminine, playful, geometric, grunge, illustrated, luxurious, masculine. Do you get? So what I want you to do is, I'm not talking about like the design styles here, like illustrated, masculine, from blah, 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 blah. I'm talking about this minimalist, grunge, punk, psychedelic, postmodern, Swiss, futurism, American, you get. So you're going to design the same design with 5 different designs of the same design in 5 different styles. Okay, do you understand?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we do.
Good. All right, so that's the assignment. I'm going to share the details on the group. Please don't forget, you need to have your client's logo as well by Friday. So you're designing your client's logo, and you're also designing your 5 posters. All right, so please make sure you send the assignments to me before Friday so I can make comments on them and go over them on Friday. All right, from Friday, we're going to start moving on to the different visual brand identity elements and then mocking them up, doing a presentation, all those type of things. So like from next week, we're literally on a roll. If you did not do your logo, you'll be left behind. So please don't be left behind. I beg you in God's name. All right. Any questions before we call it a day? I think we're closing early today, thankfully.
Please, are we getting the presentation on the video?
Yeah, I shared a link on the group already. On WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Any other question? No question. All right. Also, before I forget, let me tell you what I want you to do, right? I want you to post these five designs. I want you to post them online, right? And what I want you to do is you post them online, you do like before, obviously. And then I'm going to make comments on your designs, you make the corrections yourself, and then you do after. Okay? So it's kind of like a before and after type of thing that I want you to do for yourself online. All right. So you post it on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever it is that you share your things on social media. Even if it's WhatsApp status, post it on WhatsApp status. Okay. So at least everybody here uses WhatsApp. So we have WhatsApp. Okay. Just put your work out, basically. Right. All right. Did everyone get that?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. The logo.
Come again?
About the logo, like the logo that I'm going to do for our clients, is there a specific type?
No. You determine what is most suitable based on your, like I explained, I explained how different types of different logos can be useful for different scenarios. So that will be your choice to make to determine what will be most suitable for your clients.
Okay, thank you.
All right, no problem. And if you read more of the documents I sent, you will see, you learn more about it. So check the WhatsApp group. Or did I share the documents? Did I share the PDF? Yeah, so if you check the 7 types of logos and how to use them, yeah, all the details are there. So it will help you to determine what type of best for your clients. Any other question? No question. All right. So please, what's the assignment? 3 things. Number 1, design your client's logo. Number 2, design your 5 different types of logo poster design. I'm going to share the details of the banner or the poster on WhatsApp. Thirdly, ensure that you post them on the internet anywhere or everywhere. And don't forget to use the tags that I sent you to use, right? Tag at the Serif, tag hashtag the Serif at design with DR at Canva, then hashtag Canva love. All right. So these are the 3 things. Are we good? I'll take that as a yes.
Yes. Sorry, David. One random question.
All right.
Okay, for a post. Okay, on Canva, right?
Okay.
If you choose, let's say, poster.
Okay.
If you're adding another page, is it possible to have another size of a plain whatever on that same file? No. Okay. It just follows the initial one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, when you are designing, please don't send me 5 different links. I want all your logos in one Canva file. So just do page 1 to 5 and then do your, not logos, your posters, 5 different pages. Okay, please use the poster dimension. Don't come with any other different dimension. Please use the poster dimension. If you don't use the poster dimension, it means you did not listen to what I said and it defeats the purpose of this class. Please, I beg you. All right. Use the poster dimension for the poster design. It's an instruction that I want you to. Don't come and freestyle the assignment for me. All right. All right. So I think that's all. Any other question? Going once.
I'm so sorry, David. I'm asking this question based on what you just said.
Okay.
Was there a specific poster design I thought you just said we should make 5 poster designs of one particular design movement.
Yeah.
Did you specify which of them in particular we should take?
No. You pick any 5 that you like.
Okay, I thought you were advising that we should do the exact one you asked for.
No. What I'm
Okay.
talking about that you need to do the exact is the dimension of your artboard. Poster size is what I'm saying that everybody must use. Do you understand?
Okay, yes, absolutely.
Poster size.
I understand. Yes.
2 by 15 or 4 centimeters.
Okay, I get. Thank you.
All right. Any other question? Femi, you were asking something.
I'm okay. I wanted to just be sure you meant the 5 design styles.
Okay.
The 5 movements.
Okay. All right. Any question? No question. All right, so we can call it a day. Thank you, everyone. See you on Friday with the assignments before then. Feel free to reach out to me personally if you have any issues. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
You check your messages.
Thank you. Bye.
I will. Bye.